Good evening and welcome to the February Volunteer Forum. We're here in Gellibrand, down in District 6, the beautiful southwest, and as we know, one of the fire affected areas throughout this summer bushfire season. Tonight we're going to again be talking about the fires this season, reliving some of the events, particularly here in Gellibrand and surrounds. For our members that might be watching tonight, if that makes you feel a little bit ick throughout tonight's show, or you're not feeling quite that well, support is available to you and your direct family by phoning the member assistance line on 1800 959 232. We know that this forum is watched by many across the community, not only here in Victoria, Australia-wide, but also across the globe. For any Victorian community members that might be watching this evening, particularly those in the fire-affected areas, help is available to you by contacting the Victorian Recovery Hotline on 1800 760 560. Sorry, I messed that up. That's 1800 560 760. As if I haven't said that enough times throughout the season. How embarrassing. The other thing I wanted to touch on tonight, yes, I am not in uniform. You might be thinking that's a bit strange for the Chief not to be in uniform. Well, tonight I'm actually not the Chief. I'm currently the acting CEO. Alan Slipovich has kindly taken on the Chief's role for a couple of weeks. Our beloved CEO, Greg Leach, has unfortunately had an unavoidable medical appointment that he has had to maintain. And in Greg's own words, he's gone and gotten a new ball joint and a wheel alignment. So it's went very well today. He is recovering very well, and I know many people are sending well wishes and the like. And Greg, we all wish you a very speedy recovery and return to us. Well, as always, we want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land to which we broadcast tonight, particularly here, as I said, in beautiful Gellibrand, the Eastern Maar peoples, and pay my respects to elders past and present, and the elders of any other Aboriginal communities that might be watching and participating in the forum tonight. Lots on tonight about fire, about the Apostles Group, hearing lots about the CVMM and other things. Rohan's back with his training update to tell us what's been going on in there, as well as many more contributions from people across the organisation. Our senior managers are online, ready to answer your questions. So if you do have a question, pop it in the chat and the team will be there to give you a hand. As I said, lots on. Let's have a look to see what's coming up on tonight's show. Well, what a lot to see and talk about in tonight's volunteer forum. But I'm joined by some mighty fine-looking firefighters here in Gellibrand, next to the ultralight, but also a tank here, which I'm pretty sure we'll have a bit to talk about in a minute. Welcome, Rob, Tony, and Tim. How are we going?
Good, thank you.
Very well, thanks.
Excellent. Now, what a season! It's been a big one for many of our brigades and communities across the state. Sufficiently so. In the meetings that I've been having, I have been I call them CFA fun facts for the season. And one of the things in particular is from the 7th of January through to the 15th of February, 82,500 member turnouts across the state by some 12,500 individual volunteers. And that's based on the first reports that we have lodged already, and I suspect there'll be many, many more as we get those reports in by our brigades across the state. Rob, how's the season for you, mate?
Very busy from the 9th of Jan. It was certainly an eye-opener for us down there at Carlisle.
Mm-hmm. So you're captain of Carlisle River?
Yeah, captain of Carlisle.
Yep. So where's Carlisle River in respect to where we are now?
Pretty much what would you say, 20 minutes?
Yep.
Yes, sort of west over here. Over there.
Right, and your brigade area is where unfortunately all this sort of kicked off,
Yes,
wasn't it?
Exactly where it kicked off.
Is Tony still talking to you, or?
Yeah, at the moment. At the moment.
Tone, Gellibrand captain, welcome.
Thank you.
Obviously, we are in Gellibrand. It was quite a big event for the brigade in the town.
Oh, it was huge. Yeah, we haven't been able to find anyone who can date back to a worse situation for Gellibrand. And in the end, we were very, very lucky to get out the way we did. It was very, very hectic.
Yeah, and Tim, what about for yourself in your brigade area?
Yeah, we're Kawarren's down the road here, about 6 k's to the north. We didn't get heavily impacted, but it did encroach into our area. Yeah, it was an interesting season.
Yeah, so talk us through the 9th. I mean, talking to a lot of volunteers about what that specifically was like for them. What was it like for you guys, in around this local area in District 6?
A nightmare, you'd say. On the 9th, I knocked off work. I work in Simpson. Knocked off there at 7. And just as I was leaving work, you're seeing all the lightning strikes. And then within 20 minutes, by the time I got back home, we're just getting called out left, right and centre with a pager.
And what about for yourself?
Yeah, we were the same, except we had a strike east of Gellibrand, and by the time we sort of wrapped that up, we were lucky. We didn't have the wind. It was I don't know why, but it was a quiet spot, and we were able to get around it and came back to Gellibrand. And before the driver, Kate, got out, we got paged to Carlisle to help them over there, and that was a very long night and very hectic, and a fire behaviour that I hadn't seen before. And that started it off for a few nights after that, didn't it?
It did.
And of course, this area is no stranger to fire. You've had a few big fires over the years, in particular.
Yeah, last year was a bit of an interesting one for us. We had in our bordering on Gellibrand and across to Kawarren there, we had we had half a dozen fires, and a couple of them had a bit of potential. Quite big. Yeah, 40 acres, a bit more than one of them. Yeah.
And so, Tony, unfortunately, I guess across all 3 brigade areas, unfortunately, we saw losses as a result of the Carlisle River fire. Talk me through the experience here in town and where you saw most of that devastation.
Well, most of it was to the west of the town, where the fire front came across from Carlisle on was it the 20th? I've lost track of the dates, but
About the same.
It's okay, you, me both.
She flew through the valleys there. We were over at Carlisle protecting a house at the time, and we could see it coming this way. And before we'd even been cleared to leave over there, it was already impacting the houses in the Gellibrand Valley Road area. And then it sort of scooted around town and impacted a couple of houses on the southern side of Gellibrand. So it was lucky that I think that we only got away with those handful of houses that were impacted, but certainly the community have pulled together around those people and been a big support to them.
So I was down here not that long ago, took a drive through the hills and took opportunity to walk through a property with a landowner who unfortunately lost their home and cabins and the like. And one of the things that I noticed when I was driving in around the hills is just how hot that fire burnt through. Like it's completely gone.
Ah, yeah, exactly. And 2 of the houses down there were at the highest bell rating.
Yeah.
You know, yet a random tractor sitting there unburnt. It was, but it was very hot. And Tim and I had a look from Wonga, which is up the back there on the hill, and you could see the path where the really hot fire came through.
So talk me through your brigade members. How are they coping? Yeah, obviously the smoke's gone, but we can still see the charred effects in the community, and you've been at it for weeks. How are they holding up? How as captains are you helping your brigades through this situation?
Well, our guys are, had a bit of relief lately because the heavy lifting of recent times has been done by Forest Fire Management, who've done a really good job. in the blacking out stages and stuff like that. And it's left us up to do the triple O calls, the page outs, which have been pretty quiet now. Had a few call outs initially with smoke sightings and little flare ups, but it's actually pretty good now.
Tony, what about for you?
Yeah,
and your
well, I
members?
think our guys are doing all right. We were pretty tired there for a while, but the district group officers and the commanders sort of came in and made sure we had a spell. On a couple of nights there, we were sort of offline, so we could have a sleep and catch up. And then on a Saturday, they organised some outside crews from within the district to come and relieve the station. So we handed over the pager and let them be in charge for the day, which I think was a great initiative by the group and the commander, and it helped us sort of sit down and recharge our batteries. And overall, like, one of our members lost his house, and so we all sort of rallied around John. But as a group, we've been able to sit down and have a chat, whether it was over a cold drink or just a cup of tea at the fire station. And I might be proven wrong, hopefully not, but I think they're all in good stead. Yeah. And we rotated. There was only 6 or 7 of us in total that sort of kept rotating around when they were available. So I think they're a good crew, and they looked after each other, and which is what ourselves do, like Carlisle and Kawarren and ourselves. We try and keep it as like a team, and Carlisle's a little bit further away than Kawarren, but if Rob rings, well, we jump, and that's what helps with the brigade, that teamwork.
What about you and your members, Rob?
Yeah, my members are going well now. It was hectic for sort of the first 3 weeks. We were absolutely flat out, but no, I was quite happy with how my guys performed and girls. And it was a big effort, but we got there in the end, and it's good to see that bit of relief now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I've got to say, Tony, it's a pretty impressive tank there behind us, and I understand the brigade had something to do with that. Talk us through what have we got here? What are we looking at?
Well, it's a 180,000 litre water tank. The Gellibrand Fire Brigade, along with a grant from the Colac Upway Shire, purchased it. Our brigade management team identified a water sourcing problem because all the rivers are, one, they're deep, as in the banks, but 2, the bush, and you can't be sending trucks into the bush when it's on fire. So we identified that a couple of years ago, and it came to fruition and was filled about 2 days before the fires started.
Oh, really?
So I think I've been putting the moz on everything, because I sent a WhatsApp group to our captains and said it's full, hopefully we don't need it.
Next minute.
And it's been filled and emptied multiple times. So yeah, it's been a godsend really. Getting water here, it could have been a problem, but thankfully it was in place and ready to go.
Yeah. Fantastic initiatives. Is that like towns fed or rainwater fed? How are you?
We'll be rainwater fed, so to fill it initially, as a brigade, we put some water in when we were constructing it. We did all the construction work, volunteers and some community members, put it all up, and then the Shire allocated some water to us, and Barwon Water then gave us 3 loads of water to top it up at the end. So it was dragged out over Christmas period. It all got lost with people going to Christmas. But it was a godsend in the end.
Yeah, okay. And for adjoining brigades, what's it like having a resource like that?
It's good when Carlisle come over to the area and that, and it's handy having your water supply.
Yeah.
Nice and close in the town.
Yeah, absolutely.
The town water system here is, it's just going to take the pressure off that. Barwon Water the town don't like us pulling too hard out of the hydrant system, so
yeah, okay.
It deprives the town of the water, so this is going to be very handy.
Yeah, absolutely. So a bit of a fun fact time. As I said, I started there before. How many bottles of water do you think have been issued out of the State Logistics Centre during that January firefight?
As in bottles or packs?
Bottles.
100,000.
Keep going.
I'd say 500.
500? No, yeah, 300,000 bottles of water. How many Gatorade hydrolyte sticks do you think we went through?
20,000.
A bit more than that, 157,000 Gatorade sticks. Yeah, that's certainly going there. And how many ration packs do you think we went through?
Not many in Gellibrand, I can tell you. I've got one there for you to take home for the trip home. But obviously a few, seeing they were a bit short there for a while.
Yeah, well, they were in Chipboard, and thanks to the Australian Defence Forces that managed to give us a good number of them, as well as our colleagues at the New South Wales Rural Fire Service. But 19,000 is the answer here after there. But Rob, kids care packages. Whilst we were talking about things looking after, what's that all about?
Yeah, well, we had stuff donated down there at Carlisle, and my wife decided to get the kids down there and put together some care packages for the community.
And what was in some of these packages?
Just mainly non-perishable foods and that type of thing. Yeah.
I bet the community loved it.
They did.
Yeah.
They quite enjoyed it, and particularly a lot of the older ones. And yeah.
Oh, well done. And look, and gents, well done to you and your members. I know in speaking to the communities when I was out and about during the fires that they're absolutely, very much appreciative of the work that you guys have done, and and thank you, thank you very, very, very much. Because I guess it wasn't just about here. We had other fires in District 6 as well, Lara Lee and some of the other ones that are around. Did you guys manage to get up there, or just focused on the local one?
Yeah, a bit busy here then.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, talking of the Lara Lee fire, a big shout out to the kids from the Beacc school, but also to the kids at I think it was St Mary's. Sorry if I've got that wrong. From Colac for a fantastic posters that you made up, thanking the local fireys for their efforts during the summer season. And I had opportunity to go to Beacc Fire Station to have conversations with them, to thank them personally for their efforts, as well as celebrate with the community the contributions of the kids for that. So thank you very much again to them. Well, it wasn't just fire, we also saw some floods, so particularly down in Wye River, which, as we know, was an area affected by some devastating fires back in 2015. Let's have a look at some of the footage there during the floods. So while we're waiting for that to load, some fun fact time again. How many bush and grass fire incidents do you think there was on the 9th of January?
20,000.
20,000?
200 or something.
200 on the money. Yeah, you've read your fact sheet. That's cheating.
Taradale video. Throw to the Taradale video. So.
We're going to throw to the Taradale video.
In my time, never had a catastrophic fire day since I've been here. And so for me, that was just like, that's a whole new level. So prior to the Friday, we did some sort of short, sharp bits of information around people preparing, and whether that was preparing to leave or preparing to stay. And then after that, it turned into a bit of a sort of what's happening with this fire locally, both on the day and in the sort of week after. Video seems to be the preferred medium of the day, which in some ways makes it a lot quicker. You can just record a quick video of someone talking and you're done. Whereas if you're creating posts, you've more got to create a graphic and maybe some text, and takes a little bit more time. So I have a background in training, and I used to work for V-Line, and particularly with training, you want people to remember bits of information. And when you're training conductors and station staff, which is the space that I was in, there's a lot of information they need to learn. And I always bring that with me, like what is the key point? It might be several key points, but for this particular video, what is the one key message that I want to get across, and how can I do that as succinctly as possible? But also repeating the message. So it doesn't have to be long, but if you just reiterate a couple of those key points in that short message, because then people can sort of retain that a bit better. And I always think about it in the way of what would I want to know if I didn't know anything or I hadn't thought about this before? What would be the key points So yeah, the key messages that we were sort of thinking about was around whether people were planning to leave or planning to stay. And then kind of subcategories within that. So for example, if you were planning to stay, talking about whether you were actually physically able, whether you were prepared, whether you had access to water, and the potential dangers of staying. And the likes of if you were leaving, leaving early, what you might consider taking with you in a grab bag, what information you could potentially leave behind for the CFA in the event that they ended up at your property. Again, all very reactionary, none of this was sort of planned, but I just thought in the event that something happened in Taradale, how can we be as prepared as possible? So yeah, we created a form for people to indicate, because it's summer, whether people are on holidays, whether they were planning to stay or whether they were planning to leave. Definitely give kudos to those people that made the decision to leave, because that was the right decision on the day. And I'm not sure what day it was, it all became a bit of a blur in the end. But you start to get sort of more views and comments and likes and followers and all that sort of stuff. But it's not till you kind of go back out into the wider community and you walk into the council recovery hub in Castlemaine and people are like, hey, thanks for the updates. So yeah, there has been a little bit of a moment of, just people that I don't know just being like, wow, thank you so much for what you did. And yeah, in this instance, I just went, what can I do? I'm not on the truck this time. Had I been on the truck, it probably would have looked very different. I wouldn't have had time to be recording videos and doing stuff like that. So yeah, it's just the way it unfolded. I think it's know your community and know how to communicate with them, because the way that I communicate may not be what your community needs. And I think just be yourself, like be who you are in the brigade. You don't have to be polished in the way that you speak. And I think people respond to you just talking naturally, rather than trying to be like a presence or something that's somewhat unnatural for you. So yeah, I think know what your community wants and just be yourself, and I feel like you can't go wrong if you're those two things.
Well, what a fantastic story by Jodie there at Taradale. And I've got to say, Jodie, well done, because I myself was following your social media posts throughout the fires, and I loved seeing what you and your brigade got up to throughout the peak fire season there. So congratulations. Well, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, we are here in Gellibrand in the Community House in the hall, and we've got a fantastic live audience here with us again. Give us a yay. Oh, excellent. Every time I do that, sometimes I get a bit nervous because sometimes we actually don't get the yay. Well, and it is, I reckon this would have to go close to being probably one of the biggest live audiences we have had on the Volunteer Forum. So congratulations to you. Some friendly faces in the crowd. Let's see if you can pick them out. It's a bit like Where's Wally? That we've got our Deputy Chief, Adrian Gooch from South West Region. Welcome. A man that needs no introduction, Bryce Morgan, our board member extraordinaire, but also Tim Boone Deputy Group. And we'll hear from Bryce a little bit later on. And of course, when you thought you had one board member, you've got two. Peter Shaw is here as well, joining us tonight. Our board members are always out and about talking to our members, understanding what matters most to them, and hearing what's going on. And again, thanking our fantastic volunteers for the work that you've been doing and continue to do, because summer's not over yet, across many of the firegrounds and communities across Victoria. Peter Lockwood.
Hi, Chief.
District 6 ACFO extraordinaire. Welcome. Kirsten. I've done it again. I've been practicing it all. Kirsten, welcome. Yep. Steve, Lismore Group, welcome. So I had a quick chat out the back there before with the team. Mentioned fire and flood. And we had a bit of flood activity or storm activity there at Wye River. Tell us what happened.
So Mount Cowley, which sits above Wye River and also Cumberland, River received about 183 millimetres of rain in a 5-hour period. And of course that led to a significant amount of water coming down both rivers and flooding out. Cumberland's in District 7, of course Wye River's in District 6. So it went through the holiday park in Wye River, and so that led to the evacuation of the holiday park of about 400 people. So SES were the lead agency there, we were certainly there in numbers, and also not just the agencies, but there was a very strong local community response down there as well, which really made the day. It was a very, very difficult situation, but the locals rolled up very, very quickly, which is good.
And of course, many people will remember seeing it on the nightly news, just seeing all those cars down the river and out into the ocean. And of course, that was quite a concerning situation for emergency services because they didn't quite know whether anyone was in them or not.
Exactly. So, with the assistance of Fire Rescue Victoria, they came down and assisted with searching those vehicles, mainly around the Cumberland River area. And of course, as you can see on the video there at the moment, retrieving those cars was an exercise in itself, and certainly very challenging. Being able to move those vehicles, there were some heritage overlays with that, and helicopter was the only method that was seen as feasible to actually get those cars out of the ocean.
And certainly quite a coordinated operation there. Who would have thought that in the midst of a fire situation in Victoria would be airlifting cars out of the ocean using Black Hawk. So quite an interesting situation there. How's the recovery going in those spots?
So the recovery is going well. There's still some work to do down there. Our locals down there, you mentioned the Wye River Brigade, Andrew and his team down there are doing a magnificent job with that recovery. With the floods, of course, the water moved through very, very swiftly, and that left a lot of mud, etc., and the retrieval of the cars. But they've been working very hard there. The Great Ocean Road was closed for a period of time. That's all now opened up. So there's still a bit of recovery work there to do, but they're going along really well.
Excellent. And look, a big shout out to Hacky and the team there at Wye River. I'm sure they'll be watching. The man certainly is able to pull the troops together very quickly and looking after community. So big shout out to all the teams involved there on the Great Ocean Road. Kirsten, welcome. So tell me about your role and what have you been doing over the January period?
Well, I'm a volunteer with Carlisle River Fire Brigade, so I'm a firefighter and secretary and treasurer. And I'll step over here. So obviously we've been very busy. I haven't actually been able to support the brigade on the truck very much in the month of January because I had to evacuate with my family. So
oh really? Tell us more. What happened? What happened there? How did it unfold for you?
Well, our house was directly impacted. So my husband and I, although I initially got on the truck, wasn't able to get on the truck again, and my husband got on initially as well, but we spent most of our time just protecting our place and while evacuating on 2 occasions with my kids. So it's a very different experience when the fire's in your own brigade area.
And how did you prepare for that? Did you have I'm going out on a limb here by asking one of our people, did you have your bushfire survival plan? Did you get fire ready?
It was basically we'd get out. So my husband did decide to stay, but the plan was that he would go to a safe place, and he went to the staging area when the front came to our property, which he did. There's information you get told on the phone and then what actually happened when you get back home. So
something tells me you're in trouble, mate.
But yes, we had a plan and we stuck to it pretty much. And, there's a lot going on at the time. So, you evacuate, you come home, and then things kick off again and you evacuate again. And,
So tell me, what was it like for the kids? Like, have you been? Because I'm sure there's been many families across Victoria that have experienced exactly what you've experienced. How have you been helping your children going through this?
Yeah, well, I think it's just about trying to keep things as normal as possible, which is, in a very abnormal situation. So they're 4 and 6. You live in an area that's really high fire risk. You live there knowing that bushfires can and will happen. And it was happening. I was on the fire truck with Rob and his wife Crystal when the lightning came through, and we saw the columns of smoke everywhere, and it's quite confronting, and you go, all right, it's happening, and you have to get ready for it. So for them, it's just about trying to keep it cool and not obviously be overwhelmed, and but also be honest and tell them what's going on. And you know, Dad's staying, we're going to go hang out with some family for a little while, and just keep it as normal and routine as possible, I guess.
Well, in addition to your duties as obviously as a firefighter and a power mum, you're also work for CFA in the volunteer sustainability team. Talk to me about that.
So we've been supporting a project in District 6 to strengthen the role of groups. So about 2 years ago, through the operations subcommittee, the volunteers actually raised that they'd like to explore what groups are doing, but also how groups can improve what they're doing, and that included a review of the group boundaries in District 6. So some groups acknowledged that things were getting harder. Volunteers are harder to recruit. It's harder to get people to step into group leadership roles and to also attain skills to step into more senior operational fireground roles. So through the operations subcommittee, they requested that we get a working group together, look at what's working, what can be improved with groups. We did some broader interviews with volunteers across the district as well. And out of that, 13 recommendations were put forward to our district planning committee to look at ways that we can improve in the activities that groups perform. So out of that fell the proposed merge for the Cobden and Timboon groups, which, Bryce is here to talk about the new Apostles group. And at the moment, we've just recently pulled together a group procedures template, which kind of covers all the group activities, which the groups are going to look at soon and look at how they can tailor that, incorporate that into how they perform their group function across the district.
So if there's anyone, any of our groups or brigades out there watching this tonight sort of thinking, we've been sort of struggling a bit ourselves with whether it be the area the group covers or maybe group sustainability, what's your advice for them? How do they start the ball rolling and starting to think through this process to get a more sustainable group?
Well, what we did when we had to pull together this group procedures template, and that's looking at local procedures for groups, so obviously that is guided by the new regulations, the new group and brigade model rules and the chief officer SOPs. But there's a local procedures for what they do and how they do things in regards to preparedness and operational support activities. For other groups, we compiled this template using examples from different groups across 3 different regions in the state. So we spoke to group leaders, we gathered some group procedure examples that they had and were willing to share. They were really keen to learn about what was happening, what we were doing, and look at opportunities that they can learn from us and what we've done through this process. So we're hoping to share this group template hopefully in a few months' time, once our own groups have had a look, to share it more broadly and see if other groups want to have a look at it and implement and incorporate some of the ideas and concepts we're introducing potentially as well.
Okay, well done. We'll get Stephen in now. G'day, Stephen. Nice to see you again, my friend.
Yeah.
Lismore Group. How's the fire season been so far for you?
Oh, busy.
A little bit.
Thanks. Very busy, and starting with the Stratham fire that came down, and on a day that was extreme and catastrophic for us.
It was.
And I think our little patch at Lismore was the bit of catastrophic for the district and the region, I think. So that impacted our north and our brigade and our northern brigade, being Mingay. That took a fair bit of involvement with the group, the other brigades within the group to support Mingay in and around that. And Skipton, of course, to the north, just to the north, and there's a lot of work there between the two groups. Well, Beaufort Group and Lismore Group.
So spent a bit of time talking to the brigades and groups across the Streatham and Nannymuck fires. Talk me through what was the night of January like for you?
Oh, it was hot, windy, couldn't keep up with the fire, plotted where we thought it'd be going, and we'd be catching it from behind. As far as we had commander up there, so go for commander, and we actually were out. I was with him scouting ahead, and to the point where we watched the front go past us and couldn't catch it from behind. But we had other DJs that had taken other roads and routes to get there, and they actually helped pull that up on the Mount Butte Road. Mm-hmm. So that worked out all right. And then there's just the maintaining and mop up burnouts, so on, just to try and strengthen up southern brakes off of that. In the weaker side.
And talking to our members and a lot of farmers, it's the speed of the spread of the fire that they just. Yeah. Many of them have said they've never seen it before in their life, in some of those patches.
I'm sure it had, from start to finish, will all be worked out, but internally, once it all got a run on, and with standing stubbles and standing grass, fuel loads were extreme this year. Heat was extreme. I haven't seen fire behaviour in my time involved with CFA. It's been quite extraordinary. So even in the Lower Lee fire, the second one just a fortnight later, that was extreme too. The fuel loads, the roadsides, the fuels on the roadsides was quite immense, and it was. A lot of good work was done on that fire, but it's also a lot of luck with nature helping as well. So lakes in the right place, and change.
Obviously, I was on as a state response controller for that fire, and I absolutely remember seeing it, and I could see what the plan was to try and drive it into those lakes there, and then just when we thought we had it,
two little things that just not enough time to reset the trucks on the eastern flank. It was only 20 minutes, quarter an hour, 20 minutes, and we had 62 CFA tankers on site. Probably half of them were away getting water at any one point, so really only 30 CFA tankers on the ground. A whole hope there'll be at least that again of private units, speed disc, other equipment, all assisting, but just for just a drain where the speed disc went through and not quite tilled up properly and couldn't quite. Anyway,
and it's always that one little spark in there that gets across the line, or what it happens to be. And I guess your experience is quite unique, and for people that might be watching, particularly our volunteers that are in more bush and metropolitan type environments, is when you are battling a very fast running grass fire that you said there before, resetting the tankers and putting them to work. You've got to think about how many you've got on the flank, how many are in formation, who's off getting water, time and space to get water, get back. Like it must be quite a challenge sometimes to conduct that quiet.
The sector commanders all have their heads spinning at times, and it's just about what tankers are available. The instant controllers, again, the same thing. What tankers are available and where they are and where to line up the best run of trucks. Managing strike teams coming in, because it's nothing short of a scramble. That all seems to work itself through, but its training comes through, and that seems to help. Well, obviously it helps, but I mean the training kicks in and it all works out. Funny enough, but you'd wonder how at times. So
disorganised, organised chaos. I think it's been called. Again, I also want to make a point. I made this point during a number of the press conferences as well during the season. We do focus a lot on the houses lost and impacts into community, but we also need to stop and think about the impacts onto our agricultural communities, in our farmers in particular, and think about the Nuttymark, Streatham, Lower Lee, like the sheer volume of fences, livestock. It's going to be a bit of a rebuild for some of our farming communities, isn't it?
It is. It certainly is, and there's significant livestock losses, significant plant and equipment losses for machinery or cropping farmers. Fences are extraordinary, the amount of fencing that's been damaged and lost. Thank goodness, lives haven't been. No one's lost lives. It's quite amazing that just the speed and the heat in these fires. But anyway, they'll work's on its way, and they have cleaned up a lot, and there's fences going up. So there's the recovery side of the lower leaf fire's been extraordinarily quick, and massive support through the district and the commanders involved and VMOs, and it's been just been really impressive how they've got on and done it.
Absolutely. In fact, when I came out and visit, there were trucks with fences already leaving the area. As a group officer, what's your role in helping that process and looking after the group?
So for our group, it's as the group, we look after the brigades, and we support the brigades. We let the brigades drive what they want. We support them. It's very much we ask them what they need and what they want, and we can suggest. We find we can suggest, but we like to let them drive the agenda, and they seem to be very good at doing that. Yeah,
absolutely. Look, congratulations and well done to all of you. It's been a challenging season in this part of the world, and you've been tested and stood up and been found to be true. So you should hold your heads very high. And as I said, it was a combined effort. It is a shared responsibility, fire management, and yes, our brigades are out there doing it, but just as many farmers, just as many private units. It's all part of the plan. It's all part of coming together and working together, because no one side of the equation can do it on their own. So well done, and congratulations to each and every one of you. And I know District 6, Pete, has got a bit of a journey to go as you go through this recovery process. And I know the district's in good hands with you and your management team. So well done. Well, it is that time again where Rohan is going to give us his training update to see what's new in the training space.
Thanks, Chief, and welcome to tonight's training update. It's great to be able to join you from the State Control Centre tonight, linking into the Volunteer Forum that's down in Gellibrand. So as you can see, the background, been in the State Control Centre for most of the summer off and on, rotating through as a State Agency Commander. And while that's been occurring, there's still things occurring in training. So I might just talk about a few things around training tonight if I can. Firstly, there's been a heap of hard work on the fire ground and in incident management centres, and it's really pleasing to see CFA's training coming to the fore, particularly for our members who are responding, working out in the field, working really hard and working in incident management teams. They're able to draw upon the training that they've had to support them in the roles and do those roles so well. There's a few things happening. Firstly, Jason may have mentioned tonight, but there's been an influx in expressions of interest for people wishing to join CFA, particularly on the back of the fires, which will put a bit of pressure on training, which we need to step up to organisationally. With over 3,000 expressions of interest of people wanting to join CFA, we need to look at ways of how we can support people moving through both GFF and those non-operational members who wish to join. So we're doing a few things to try and support that. We're looking at how we might be able to allow some members, as they join pre-full enrolment or pre-enrolment, to have access to some of our training materials. So we're having a bit of a look at that to see if we can help start people on their journey while they're processing their expressions of interest. So that's something that we'll need to keep an eye on, and we'll need to keep working with the regions on. We also appreciate that we've got about 350 instructors who can deliver GFF, and what I would ask is any instructors who haven't been delivering GFF and want to return to it, now's probably a really good time to make contact with your regions to see how you might be able to support a greater increase in the GFF program as we move into the earlier part of this year. There's a few things happening with the LMS, and we're continuing to work through those challenges and repairs, and We're about to load a patch in the next couple of weeks, and there'll be some further information come out around that. But the patch itself will do a couple of things. What we're focusing on in this patch is where we can improve members' experience through the LMS. So we've talked about this before, and I know it's a bugbear to all of us. A couple of things that we're working on, in particular, clearer navigation or more intuitive navigation through the LMS for members. The knowledge assessment, where members have to do multiple questions again, despite only getting 1 or 2 questions wrong. That's in this patch, in this fix. So that will mean that when the patch rolls out, and then when we update the courses, which happen as the time of the patch rolling out, members will only need to do the question that they got wrong rather than all those questions again, which will be a huge improvement. That'll take a little bit of time, so as we transition from one version of the course to the next template, those changes will come in place. And we'll start that with GFF and those courses that have high numbers. Members' numbers will become visible for brigades. So for some brigade training coordinators and instructors, when they're entering brigade skills or brigade run training, there's an issue at the moment that the brigade member's number doesn't come up. So if you've got 2 John Smiths in a brigade, it's not easy to work out which one was at training or to list that. So brigade memberships will now pop up as a part of that. And then also, as members are enrolling through to enrol onto courses, there'll be a pop-up screen that'll also give a bit more detail and clarity around the prerequisite requirements. So there's a couple of things that are coming out with the next upgrade or the next patch. We've been testing those patches as they come through or as they prepare to be loaded, and we're hopeful that that'll make a big difference for our members, particularly using the LMS. The last one I just want to talk about tonight is the state championships. So training will have a presence again at both the Junior Urban Championships, and then the following week for the Senior Urban Championships and the Junior and Senior Rural Championships, all being held at Stawell. So on both weekends, we'll have a display again. Our displays, there'll be a couple of aspects that'll be really exciting and hopefully help some members out. Firstly, we will have an LMS element at the display, so members will be able to walk through any of their LMS challenges or seek some guidance on how they navigate through the LMS through our training team. So that'll be an interactive conversation about how can we support you. Secondly, we'll have the Flame VR unit. So we've seen that before at the championships and it's a bit of a favourite. Members will be able to again use the Flame unit, and we'll be able to talk about some of those initiatives that we're introducing with the Flame virtual reality. The aviation simulator will be on site, so members will be able to have a look at the aviation simulator. And lastly, members will get a sneak peek at our driving simulator that we're developing. So it'll be pretty exciting. Hopefully people will be able to get a ride in it. It's early days, but we'll talk more about it as we go. A model of the driving simulator that we're developing with a company called Morden. That will be on site and that'll be really interesting to have a look at, and I'm looking forward to the feedback that we'll receive around the driving simulator. So that's it for a fairly quick update tonight. I'll pass back to you. Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Rohan, for a fantastic update there. And I got speaking from personal experience, I'm absolutely joyed to hear that we've got that patch in that means that you don't have to do all those questions again. And you can just go to the one that you got wrong. As staff, we've got to do mandatory training every 90 days or something, whatever it is. You'd think I'd get them right by now, but no, it is a joy to hear that patch has been put in. So well done, Rohan. As I said before, particularly for our volunteer members and your immediate family, if any of the conversation tonight has invoked for you some feelings or things that make you feel a little bit ick, you can get assistance through the member assistance line on 1800 959 232. and for our community members watching, particularly those community members in the fire-affected regions, such here in Gellibrand, you can get assistance by calling the Victorian Bushfire Recovery Hotline on 1800 560 760. Welcome. I was going to make some sort of joke there between two ferns, but I think it's a
lily.
A very interesting plant between a couple of board members. How are we going?
No thorns on the roses.
No thorns on the roses. No, not at all. Bryce and Peter, welcome. So, conversation here on a couple of fronts. Obviously, both board members of the authority, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit later. Bryce, current Deputy Group Officer for the Apostles Group, Timboon Fire Brigade. Tell me about the Apostles Group.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. The Apostles Group came about as a result of some of the work that Kirsten has been doing with the district over the past couple of years, and it was basically designed to try and make the group sustainable in the longer run, as we're facing the challenges that so many of our rural brigades face with membership numbers and capacity and capability to take on leadership roles at the group level, and also to provide more targeted support to our brigades to help share the load there. So the group merger was floated as an idea, and it gained support from both the original groups, the Cobden Group and the Timboon Group. I was a member at Timboon Brigade and a member of the Timboon Group, and we honestly thought it would probably be a little bit more straightforward, but it's amazing how two neighbouring groups can be just have slightly different cultures and slightly different ways of doing things, and just trying to form that new group where we're capturing the best parts of each of the original groups and taking the strengths and building on them. And so we've been through quite a process to map that out. And this has been our first fire season, and it's been quite the fire season to really bring it to life.
So the new group stood up well and was able to really put things into action for this season?
Yeah, it was fantastic. The way that brigades supported each other in terms of stepping up when other brigades were away on strike teams. We had fire within our group footprint down at Kennedy's Creek, which was one of the points of origin for the Carlisle River fire, and also a lot of fire within the Simpson Brigade's response area. So we're really part of the Otway footprint, but we're also out into the volcanic plain. So it's a very interesting, the diversity of firefighting that the group covers, and I guess the way that brigades have been able to just step up and not just cover for each other operationally, but the number of phone calls that were going around between brigades, between captains calling me as a DGO, just checking that I was doing okay, and it was fantastic to see the level of unity that comes about in the face of crisis. So where we could have sat navel-gazing and thinking about what if and how we might be able to make the group work in the face of our communities needing us, we just got to it and got it sorted, and we're checking in and all those little mental health things along the way and looking out for each other was just wonderful to see.
Peter, I know you were part of a group. You were a Deputy Group Officer and a Group Officer there for a while for the Knox Group. For both of you, what is the role of the group? And I know we get asked that a lot. And I guess, where do you see the group being that conduit between the brigades, the district, and broader?
There was a paper on all that, but we won't go back there. But the role of the group, it varies. My group is very urbanised, structural firefighting, the Dandenongs in the background, so we have a bit of a mix. But the group structure and the way the group works is quite different to the groups out in the more regional areas, where they might be a more hands-on responder. We're more of a coordinator type role in the Knox area.
And Bryce, what about Apostles?
Yeah, as part of the work that Kirsten's been leading as well, we're trying to really integrate groups with districts more. So historically we've had been very responsive to brigades first and foremost, and I think we will continue to do that. But by aligning with group structures, we're going to be able to feed through information that Joe in such and such a brigade can come to group if it needs to be escalated, and then it can go to a subcommittee and then to district planning committee. So it doesn't just get screamed out into the night and into the void. It actually has an avenue to progress and be resolved.
And the role of group in operations, both, I guess, day to day, but more so when the campaign events are on?
Look, in my area, it's more about the support, backup role, coordination role, rather than taking hands-on incident control type role. But it's certainly a role that the group needs to perform to support
Bryce,
the brigades.
We've got some really capable operators at the group level. So we had DivCom down here in Sleepy Roberts, and then we had a strike team leader in Brad Patton, and then I was back with the brigades trying to organise the crews for the next day. So that mix of operations and then the administration of getting people out in the field worked really well. And that's that capacity that we're trying to capture with the group merger and just seeing it play
Absolutely.
out.
And I think that's one of the challenges and why we are having this conversation more broadly across the organisation about the role of the group is because it is a bit different and disparate across the organisation. I know when you were talking there about the role you play, Bryce, but I had images of Blue White there in Murrayville who runs operations with an iron fist, and I've got to say does it very well. So there's all the and in between that we have across the organisation. So I think it's an important conversation that we need to have, and we're getting closer to to that answer point.
We probably find with my area, the Knox Group area, we tend to have the captains and the lieutenants who are very experienced, have a lot of hours under the belt in relation to running fires. But we tend to leave it with them to run the fires and their officers and their brigades rather than do any operational roles.
Absolutely, and music to some captains' ears, I'm sure, in the Knox Group, but a view that, and that's part of the beauty of the CFA, isn't it? It's about bringing those views from across our organisation together, and we'll talk a little bit more later on about the CVMM project, which is about doing exactly that and bringing about not a one-size-fits-all, but at least some uniformity about our membership model moving forward. All right, let's talk turkey, guys. Board time. So both volunteer members on the board play a governance role in the organisation. Why is it important that we have volunteer representation on the authority board?
Well, look, it comes back to just bringing that ground knowledge up to the people that are looking after the governance of the organisation. We have members on the board that don't have a volunteer background at all, let alone a CFA background at all. So bringing that knowledge of how things work, even just to the terminology, to get that managed across the board so they get informed by us about how it really works.
Bryce?
I think a key difference between CFA as an entity compared with a normal business with shareholders and so on is our devolved leadership, control and command, where we try and enable good decisions to be made as low as possible within the business. So whereas in a normal corporate setting you'd want to clamp everything down and tighten everything up, we need to provide with our policies and our direction enough leeway to allow people that are at the coalface to make good decisions and make good actions, while also demonstrating good governance and managing the risk of people sort of running off script. So it's a tension, and I don't know that you ever get it right, but you want to make sure that pendulum isn't swinging too much between over governance and over regulating and being too liberal and having people do things that just are a bit silly.
And so there's yourselves, and obviously we've got Ross Coyle from District 24 and Dawn Hartog in District 12 as the volunteer representatives nominated by the VFBV. And as a skills-based board as well, I think the beauty there is we've got board members from across this at our own, but also across broader industry and government, and particularly under the leadership of Joe Plummer, our board chair. But we've got Rachel, we've got Rosemary, Pam, a lot of very experienced people that bring skill sets to the board.
Yeah, look, the board's made up a course of a cross of many different variations of skill and background, and finance, risk and audit, all those sort of background items that some of us still have to have, even at the volunteer component. We still have that across the board with specialised knowledge.
Okay. So a little game I like to play every now and then, and this is, you watch two board members break out and sweat now. So 5 seconds to answer, gentlemen. Let's have some fun here. Hardest thing about trying to keep the chief officer under control?
The amount he wants to spend.
Absolutely. Wait till the next board meeting. Biggest challenge facing the board in the next 12, 24 months?
I think really getting those institutional arrangements in place with the volunteer models and that sort of thing to set us up to move forward for the next 20 years. So it's a really critical moment, and it's great that volunteers are being invited to contribute their thoughts about the models, just to try and make it adapt to the new settings where there's less people around, particularly in rural areas. There's less emphasis on volunteerism. So how do we work with the people that we've got, and how do we make CFA an attractive option to come and be part of?
Our greatest strength?
Our people.
Our members, absolutely.
Our biggest opportunity?
Our people.
Yep.
And what's our, I guess, where are some of our challenges?
Finance has got to be the first one. We can't back off on that. This finance is an issue for us. We build what we can, we do what we can with the amount of money we have. We're doing reasonably well. We could do better, but finance is going to be a big one. There is issues with our secondee issue in relation of numbers and how we're getting supported there. There are a couple of big issues that we're trying to manage well at the moment.
All right, well, thank you very much, both, for having a chat, both for obviously in the roles that you play, current role in the group, and obviously, Peter, your experience when you're in the group role, and both, obviously, your role and experience being part of the CFA Authority Board. And thanks for having a chat with me on the couch this evening. Well, I spoke earlier about the contemporary volunteer membership model, and we're going to have a bit of a chat to Colin Harcher in a minute about what that means. But in the meantime, our Deputy Chief Officer for Operational Performance and Capability, Scott Purdy, is just going to run us through the contemporary volunteer membership model, what it means, and what are some of the opportunities that it will bring to our organisation moving forward.
Hi everyone, Scott Purdy, currently Deputy Chief Officer of Operational Performance and Capability. I'd love to talk to you today about an exciting project we've got in the wings. Some would say it's taken a long time to get here, but the contemporary volunteer membership model is an exciting project that seeks to review and improve the current volunteer membership model we have across our organisation. The current model has been with us for a long time and works for many. It's still great, but it could be improved. And we're seeking your help to improve what that future membership model looks like. The aim of the project is really to enhance and improve the experience of our thousands of members across the organisation, whether it be in the far out reaches of rural Victoria or the metropolitan brigades. We also want a future membership model for CFA to be a really attractive proposition to the most broadest cohort of people in our communities in which we serve. There is something inside CFA that is appealing to so many different people out there, and we want the membership model to facilitate that experience to be one of a positive, where people get the personal reward, but also find meaningful contributions to contribute towards their community. To illustrate the types of feedback that we're looking for, let's now hear from a selection of members about their thoughts on the paper.
I'm really excited about the potential that is coming from this reform. I'm excited about the opportunities it's going to open up for volunteers, and I'm really hopeful that we're going to be able to provide a range of opportunities for members to participate that otherwise haven't been able to, or where they haven't been able to participate fully.
I think it's very comprehensive for a start. I think it's a good time to do this. There's many things that need to be discussed and have a bit of a deep dive into.
Look, I think it's a really good start for CFA to outline where they're going to bring their membership from, where they're going to get that membership from within the community. They need to look at, and that's what they're doing with this paper, having a really broad range of how we get any people within the community in different roles and responsibilities and different pathways within CFA, and I think it's a really good start. People don't and can't give as much time as they used to. Life's got busy, and I think if we look at other volunteer organisations, they're struggling to get members as well. It's a really good way for CFA to explore all options to try and get as many people within the organisation as we possibly can.
I think it's good because I think it does need a bit of a shake-up, and unfortunately volunteering is not as it was. There aren't as many people interested, people are time poor, so having it more streamlined and suitable to different people I think is a good thing, and would hopefully encourage people to actually join.
I think there's some stuff in that options paper that's really going to improve CFA in the future. I think there's some things that are just formalising stuff that's been happening in CFA for a long time anyway. As we know, every district, every brigade, every group does things differently. So, there's a lot of good things, but some are obviously formalising already happening stuff.
I believe change is necessary. CFA needs some clear definitions around some things for structure. I believe everyone should read it. It's important. It's important for the future of brigades and also to have their opinion.
I think it's a great idea. I'm fully in favour of the options that are being put forward. It's going to make my job as a captain a lot easier to have members that can fit into places.
It has some merit. It's been well thought out, I must admit. It's well put together. There's a lot of information in it that you've got to get your head around, really. But on the whole, the paper itself is quite extensive.
So where are we now with this piece of work? Well, in mid-December we released a discussion paper of the Contemporary Volunteer Membership Model. It contains 13 recommendations out there for people to digest and consider, and how it may improve or affect their brigades and their role within CFA. We want people to actively engage with this discussion paper, and we want to hear from you. It's really important that we build a future model that works for everyone. CFA is made up of more than 1,200 brigades, all varying different needs and different priorities, and one size does not necessarily fit all. So we need to hear from the broadest possible cohort of the organisation about what opportunities for improvement exist and appeal to those, but also what are some of the risks with some of the options, so that we're careful to mitigate those or not commit ourselves to things that will not work for the majority of members. So please engage with the paper, use the survey tools that are available, take the opportunity to participate in focus groups and other sessions where feedback can be provided, and we can explore some of these options in more detail.
Thanks, Scott, for a fantastic update there and a bit of an intro to what will be a very interesting discussion, I'm sure, with Kirsten and Colin around the Contemporary Volunteer Membership Model. Bit of a mouthful there, Cole. Because it is about structuring our brigade membership and our organisational membership in a way that does allow us to be more flexible, agile and sustainable into the future. So Scott's given a bit of a rundown there, Colin, but what is it all about? What are we looking to achieve?
Okay, so great question. So first of all, thanks very much to all the vols who chipped into that video. There are amazing contributions there, and appreciate their time. Look, I'll say CVMM, Chief, so Contemporary Volunteer Membership Model, CVMM, really is built on a couple of years of really wonderful feedback from members, actually a whole range of stakeholders. So we've got volunteer leaders from right across the state, VFBV, at all levels. So listening to not only their love of CFA and what has made it great, not perfect but great, but also the pain points that have really affected their own individual experiences and the experiences of their brigades and groups and so forth. So this initiative is all about feeding back to you what we've heard over the last couple of years and saying, okay, well, this organisation needs to change to meet the needs of its current volunteers. There's no one size fits all, as you said. So it's about firstly focusing on the needs of individual members. So how are they affected by the current model, and how do these new 13 recommended options really provide greater opportunities for them personally to grow, to build their capability and their contribution to community. Because
volunteering's changing.
Absolutely.
We know that the traditional model of volunteering, you come along, you join an organisation like the CFA or the Red Cross or whatever it happens to be, St Vincent de Paul, and you do that for life. That's we're seeing that decline. We know that we're seeing that type of traditional volunteering decline across the country. But what we also know is we're seeing a real uptick and surge, a resurgence of almost spontaneity, spontaneous volunteering, people that want to contribute to community, contribute to organisation in a way that works for them at a time that works for them. And that's probably more particularly relevant for the younger generation, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. what's happening within CFA's, in some ways, no different from what we see across every other industry. We as consumers are more disruptive. The way we want organisations to interact with us has changed dramatically, and so with our volunteers. Recently been doing a roadshow, so a little bit of southwest and then west region, and from district to district, the things that I'm hearing are changing. No one CFA, we know that. I mentioned there were 3 things that we're really trying to achieve with the project. The first is individual member needs, but of course we're built on brigades as well. So it's about then trying to identify additional ways to support, or better ways to support brigades to do what they need to do.
Because it needs to work for the individual. It needs to work for the brigade. It needs to work for the organisation.
Yeah.
Kirsten, what's your experience, or what have you seen in your time in CFA?
Well, it's definitely a piece of work that volunteer sustainability has a lot of interest in. You know, we work in the people side of we work with the volunteers in brigades and groups in trying to make them more sustainable. So the concepts in there, you know, they're really important. They're potentially offering lots of change in how memberships work in brigades. So I think these are fantastic opportunities and they're well overdue. I think of, you know, Carlisle River Fire Brigade. We're a small brigade with a small community. The reality is we've got quite a few firefighters who have secondary residences in our community, and they're our most active firefighters in our situation. So having the opportunity for some of them who are members of other brigades, who can also be a member of Carlisle River Brigade potentially, opens up opportunities for us to keep Carlisle River more sustainable. You know, they can put their hand up for an officer position. They can be recognised for what they contribute to our brigade more formally as a member of our brigade. So,
because I think, the conversation I've been having with DCO Purdy and a few of the others around, because the reality is some of our members have been operating like this under the radar anyway.
For a long time,
For a long time, and so really this is about, in a lot of ways, saying, we know you've been doing it, we know why you're doing it, you're doing it because it makes sense, and now we need to make sure that we've got an appropriate governance structure and framework to make it work for our people.
Yeah. Great point, and in fact there's a lot, what's clear to me about the options paper and the recommendations in there is it has it's potential to be the generational change in our model. It may not be, but let's just assume it is, and we're wanting everyone to have a voice in the shape of that. It also has something in it for everyone. It absolutely does. So a great example would be your seasonal. So working title, seasonal or reserve, but or multi-brigade membership. We have opportunities here to enable all of this capability to flow far more freely, to meet surge service delivery needs when we need it most. And basically open doors that aren't there now. So
because we're challenging the traditional structure.
Oh yeah.
Aren't we? Like it's no longer just firefighter ops, or operational ops support.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. We are trying to really create some almost bespoke in some instances classifications and pathways for our people to operate in.
Yeah, so there are some great visuals in the options paper. So definitely have a look at that. And what you're seeing there are a brand new set of proposed subcategories of members. So the Chief here, with the introduction of the new regulations last year, has the ability to create subcategories of general member. And you'll see there ones you know about, so firefighter, brigade support, but then these amazing, in terms of potential, new subcategories like specialist firefighter, life member in there, and cadet. So things that, yes, we may have we have little bits of around the place. There's innovation always here within the CFA, but looking to formalise it and create more opportunities for people across the boards.
And of course, it's phase one.
Absolutely, yeah.
Once we sort of get a landing on what our feedback is from our people around what the model needs to look like. Because the next thing is making sure that we've got a tailored mechanism for people to get into the organisation, and then a specific bespoke pathway for that classification class. So again, it's one thing to have a nice as you say, a generational change membership structure. But if everyone's still got to walk through the same front door, do the same set of courses, do the same whatever it is, we're sort of really throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It is about making sure that we then tailor those aspects as well, isn't it?
Oh, spot on. So everyone's familiar, I hope, with that large body of work last year, the external review of recruitment and onboarding. So the Right Lane Review, and that report came out with 16 recommendations, all of which were accepted by exec. That talked, among other things, about addressing the one-size-fits-all approach to something like recruitment. So same deal. Option 1 in this paper is looking at saying, well, if you are an operational member, that's one thing, but if you're a transfer member, that's our recommendation 2, or somebody who wants to do brigade support, maybe fundraising, then let's have a proportional approach to the evidence you need to provide. So try to make it maintain standards, but make it easier, remove the pain, streamline and optimise so that people can get into this place, to be attracted to CFA far more readily. And then if, I was in Ararat, and a hot issue there was the experience of transfer members. So it's in the paper. We've heard it, and we're looking at ways either through multi-brigade membership, where you enjoy the same rights as any other general member, if you're part of the capability of that brigade. We're looking at all of these things to try to improve the situation on the ground and have that tailored approach.
So lots of options in there. It is very much. We went through a lot of consultation, feedback surveys to prepare the options paper, but it doesn't stop there. We've put together something that we think our people are going to like. Yeah. But again, we are going out. We're out at the moment asking for feedback and consultations. I appreciate people have been a little bit busy, bit going on. We will keep it open for as long as possible, extending that time period to make sure that we do get buy-in. I know from my experience walking around talking to people, as I said before, a lot of people are going, okay, you finally got to where we are. Good job. Let's. I suspect a lot of people are saying, "Hurry up, just get on with it." Yeah. But
we want to see it happen.
Yeah, that's it. But we do want to hear from our people. It is quite a genuine approach. So, if you are interested in learning more about the contemporary volunteer membership model, where do people find it?
Right. So, look for the QR codes. They'll be everywhere if they're not already. So, go onto Members Online and just have a search for CVMM. Go onto Your Say and you'll see 2 surveys. One for every single individual member in CFA, and 2, if you're a volunteer leader, that could be BMT, GMT, DPC, you could be on a VFBV District Council, WAC, YAC, JCC, you name it. We want to hear from individuals and from groups of volunteer leaders. What do you like? What don't you? You can respond to just one recommendation or all 13. Mm-hmm. You tell us what's most important to your district, to your catchment, to your brigade. And so as you're saying, Chief, those surveys will be extended. They're open to at least the end of April. Then what will happen, you'll see a real step up in engagement. So I'll be, my team and I, we'll be going out to all the regions, having focus groups. So the exciting part is we will focus just on Class 1 and 2, nobody else in the room. Class 1 and 2 brigades, then we'll have focus groups with Class 3 and then our Class 4 and 5. That was a really successful approach with that external review last year. And clearly we'll also meet with coalface roles like your BASOs, DSOs, etc. So that will help us to then get it right. So what parts of each recommendation do you like, and which ones do you think should be opt-in only? So it's not just a one-size-fits-all again.
So lots of options, and as I said, lots of stuff for people to feedback. If you don't necessarily want to or can't find the surveys, whatever, your friendly volunteer sustainability team are available through your districts and regions. So again, feedback if anywhere you like, into the district, into the BST, wherever, into my office. Who cares? We just want your feedback and understanding of what we think is happening. Well, the Good Friday appeal is Australian, and to Victoria, like Vegemite is to many kids growing up in rural Australian and metropolitan communities. This year will be the 75th year that CFA brigades have been out there rattling the tins, holding up traffic and doing anything they can to get the loose coins out of the pockets and the centre consoles of Victorians and into the hands of the Good Friday Appeal to do it for Victorian kids. We've got a bit of a video now to see what the Victorian Good Friday Appeal on its 75th milestone for CFA is going to be all about.
Used to come down in an old C model Ford and collect from towns along the way, and we were one of those towns, and we evolved from there very quickly. I've been organising and fundraising for just on 20 years now. I've been the area manager for over 15. We get the local scouts and cubs involved. We usually get 2 or 3 minibuses which take them around the town. We still do the old style door knock, and the scouts get a buzz out of it. And we do raise a lot of money by doing it. Myself, I had 2 premature babies. Thank God they didn't need to come here, but I always knew that this place was here. And whatever they can get for the Children's Hospital is well worth it, because these kids are worth it. It's rewarding just to see what comes at the end of the day. And it all goes to this fantastic place.
Well, that's fantastic for the Good Friday Appeal, and again, 75 years strong of CFA involvement out there. I've got to say, I said to the organisers, Penny Fowler and Beck Cowan of the Good Friday Appeal, CFA are going to come in strong this year, please. Don't leave me hanging out there. We were Nelly to the 2 million mark last year. I think it was $1.9 something million. This year, let's dig deep. Let's see what we can do on our 75th anniversary of participation in the Good Friday Appeal to bring in the bickies and pull the big 2 million. That would be absolutely fantastic. Well, it's that time of night again where the chief may break out in sweat when the audience gets handed the microphone and they get up and able to ask any random question they like of me. So here we go. Aidan, over to you.
Last year, at the start of October, Carlisle River Brigade, organised by our wonderful First Lieutenant, had our very first Get Fire Ready Day. And it wasn't just Carlisle's very first event ever in our 40-something year history. It was the first community event of any sort in at least a decade. So getting the community together to talk about fire safety was great for the brigade and great for the community. So my question tonight is, what does this year look like in October on the first weekend, and will there be any increase in resources for brigade, particularly rural brigade, which might not have the finances to fully fund an event off their own bank account?
Well, what a fantastic question, and of course we will be working very hard to get Get Fire Ready version 2 up and running. As you do know, Get Fire Ready was an initiative as a result of recognising that this season was going to be quite a challenge for our communities and fire brigades across the state. Sufficiently so that I did put the call in through the board for additional funding, and we were successful in that $11.6 million. And part of that funded our Get Fire Ready campaign. We will again be reviewing, and again I'll be making application to the state government to ensure that we can continue the great work of our brigades and volunteers into the community. And regardless, it was a very, very successful event, and we will be seeking to do a Get Fire Ready annually in any way, shape or form that we absolutely can. So thank you, Aidan. Fantastic question. It's fantastic to hear that for Carlisle River, the first in a very long time, to be able to open the doors and talk to community, because I know that really did make a difference during the fires in the people that I have spoken to. So well done and thank you. No one else is standing up, so that tells me I'm absolutely off the hook. And no, that wasn't a Dorothy Dixar, but I'm pretty happy that I'm not going to be asked any more curly ones. But what I did want to touch on is, whilst we spoke about the CVMM and getting your feedback, there's probably a little bit more pressing feedback that I'm really asking for right now, and that's to actually hear your experience this summer season. What worked well, what didn't work so well, and what we can sustain and what we can improve for future fire seasons. As we know, there is great interest in this summer season with the announcement of the Upper House inquiry, which will be asking the questions the community wants answers to around the fire operation this year. And yes, it will focus on some of the challenges that we had across that fire period, but it will also focus on some of the good things, some of the many thousands of homes that were saved by firefighters, our members in the field, looking after communities, as well as initiatives such as Get Fire Ready in the lead up to the season and many other things that we have done. We've been sending out some surveys to our strike team leaders and sector commanders and the like to get those feedback. And as I open up my phone here, and Scott's just sent me some updates, so he did want me to do the plug. So here, Scott, proof that I'm doing it. We've received 81 responses to that survey so far, so that's fantastic. We're encouraging people to continue to submit that. You're probably asking what are some of the themes that are coming up. So again, Scott's provided to me some of the themes that are starting to come out from the after-action reviews that we're starting to get in already. Challenges around radio communications, that's no secret. I've been asked about that many times publicly in the media as well. Improvement of our local knowledge in our IMTs and local knowledge across firegrounds. Challenges in effectiveness of tanker tactics, and we just heard today from Stephen from the Lismore Group around the challenges of tanker tactics in a large, fast-running grass fire and understanding how that operates, as well as establishing strong fireground structures early and reporting structures and command structures, and that's there. And there's also numerous positives. It's not all bad. As I said, this is about understanding where we can improve on some of the challenges, but it's also about sustaining the things we got right and things that really did make a difference for our firefighters on the ground. The benefits of the elevated seasonal response initiative, the bulk water tankers that were positioned across the state, the vital role that the additional aircraft that was put on and what it played throughout the season, and again, the vital role that our volunteers played in community, whether that be working with government agencies and community NGOs in the recovery aspect and the relief aspect, because we know our communities and that strength and connection and connectivity to local community was a real positive, and I'm sure made every benefit to the local communities, both in the response but also in the relief and the recovery. And I spent a bit of time with George Noy from the Ruffy Fire Brigade, who absolutely was part of that local connectivity and a true leader in his community, bringing them all together. So those surveys will be open for a while. There'll be additional surveys put out. Every member in the organisation that participated this season will have an opportunity to submit to CFA your experiences through your eyes as it related to you, so that we can understand how the season went and make the improvements that we need to make, and also sustain the things that went very well for the seasons to come. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to wind up tonight. It's been a big one. We've spoken to many people, understood their experiences, and again, I reiterate, if any of tonight's conversation that we have spoken about raises concerns to you, help is available to both yourself and your immediate family. People may not realise that our member assistance program does extend to members of your immediate family as well. And it's not just about psychological care, it's about financial wellbeing counselling, it's about some legal counselling as well. So, opportunity is there, help is there if you need it, and the best way to access it is by calling the member assistance line on 1800 959 232. And again, for our Victorian communities, if you are in need of relief or recovery, the Victorian Bushfire Assistance Line is open at 1800 560 760. It is March coming up, and as we know, that is when we celebrate International Women's Day, celebrating the fantastic achievement of our women in society. They make up 50% of the population, very, very vital. We need more of them in our organisation, and it's a time to stop and reflect how we can be more inclusive for our women in our organisation, and the great role that they do play and can play in not only the governance, in our case, Joe Plummer, our board chair, in our senior leadership and executive leadership, right through to group and BMT structures. So I look forward to celebrating with our many members and brigades this International Women's Day. Well, that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. It's been quite a conversation. I hope we haven't bored the audience here tonight. Give us another wave. Who's enjoyed tonight? Who hasn't? Oh, look at that. The ayes have it. Thank you for coming along this evening. It's been a bit of a long one. Thank you to the Gellibrand community for having us come in and give the forum to you tonight to hear from their experiences as well. Because them, like many communities, are continuing on the road to recovery as a result of the fires of January 2026. So thank you very much. Good night and go well.